Having reached the age of 82, I've gathered considerable life wisdom, yet I profoundly regret one decision: entering a nursing home. Initially, it appeared to be the sensible choice. My family supported this move, assuring me I would receive all necessary care and comfort. I trusted their judgment. However, upon arrival, I discovered the reality drastically differed from my expectations. For those contemplating this option for yourselves or loved ones, perhaps believing it's the safest choice or having been told it will simplify life, I wish to share 6 crucial insights I wish someone had conveyed to me beforehand. The truth is, nursing home life extends far beyond mere convenience. It transforms everything, and departing isn't as straightforward as one might imagine. Please continue reading, as some of these lessons may surprise you, and this information could be essential for anyone facing this significant life decision. My first regret was surrendering my independence. The most jarring aspect of nursing home life wasn't the confined space, structured meal times, or unfamiliar people. It was realizing I'd lost authority over my own existence. Previously, I maintained personal routines, determining when to wake, eat, and how to spend my time. I could stroll whenever desired, prepare my own meals, or quietly enjoy a book in my favorite chair. Within the nursing home, I quickly understood my time no longer belonged to me. Everything operated on an institutional schedule. Breakfast was served at predetermined times regardless of hunger. Lights out occurred at specific hours, irrespective of my readiness for sleep. Wanting outdoor exercise required permission and waiting for available assistance. Simple choices about food or clothing became privileges rather than basic rights. During my first week, waking in an unfamiliar bed and reaching for my book, the reality struck me. This wasn't home. My cherished possessions, comfortable chair, and personal comforts had vanished, replaced by institutional walls and furnishings I hadn't selected. I couldn't escape the feeling that I no longer controlled my own life. The most difficult realization: understanding that relinquishing independence means surrendering the small freedoms that make life uniquely yours, freedoms you'll miss more profoundly than anticipated. My second regret was feeling forgotten. A painful truth about nursing home life is watching the outside world continue without you. Initially, my family promised frequent visits and kept their word. My daughter visited weekly. Grandchildren came on weekends, maintaining my connection to my former life. However, as months passed, visits decreased. My daughter began calling instead of appearing in person. My grandchildren became occupied with obligations. Holidays proved especially difficult when promised visits frequently fell through, leaving me sitting alone in common areas watching other residents hopefully monitoring the entrance for visitors. My family didn't stop loving me. Life simply intervened. When you're not present daily, others easily assume you're managing well and require less attention. The truth is, the longer your nursing home stay, the easier it becomes for others to forget how much you still need them. I recall one evening sitting with my phone, contemplating whether to call my son, hesitant to impose. I hesitated to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never materialize. So I set the phone aside. That's when the realization struck me. This was my new reality. Watching days pass, hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're contemplating nursing home living, consider, are you prepared for the isolation? Because regardless of your family's love, once removed from daily sight, you're surprisingly easy to forget. If you're still following these insights and finding them valuable, please comment number 2 below to indicate your presence. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and activate notifications so you don't miss future videos. My third regret was losing my sense of purpose. When entering the nursing home, I thought I was merely changing residences. I didn't understand I was also changing my reason for living. At home, I had responsibilities, routines, hobbies, and motivation to begin each day. Even minor activities, watering plants, brewing my coffee, organizing my space, provided purposeful meaning. In the nursing home, these daily rituals vanished. Others prepared meals, handled cleaning, and the plants were no longer mine to nurture. Initially, I convinced myself relaxation would be pleasant. No chores, no responsibilities, just rest. However, after several weeks, I sensed something missing. Days stretched endlessly with nothing but waiting. I observed this in fellow residents too. Formerly energetic individuals now spent their days sitting, staring, waiting for time's passage. There was an 84-year-old man named George, a lifelong carpenter. At home, he constantly repaired things and built projects in his garage. Here, without tools or creative outlets, his once skilled hands lay idle. "I feel useless," he confided one day, a sentiment I completely understood. When you no longer have responsibilities or goals, life loses meaning. Mental faculties slow, physical abilities follow, and eventually you become just another resident in a place where time advances, but nothing truly changes. Before choosing a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because after moving in, finding purpose involves more than filling time. It requires fighting to preserve what makes you feel alive. My fourth regret was experiencing unexpectedly rapid health decline. Before the nursing home, I was managing well for my age. While not athletically exceptional, I maintained independence, taking walks, preparing meals, following routines that kept me active, grocery shopping, morning stretches, moving around my house to maintain leg strength. After moving in, everything transformed. Initially, it seemed I was simply taking it easy. Meals delivered, no cooking necessary, assistance available at the push of a button. What I failed to recognize was that doing less for myself resulted in physical deterioration. With reduced movement, my legs stiffened. Increased sitting made rising from chairs increasingly difficult. Muscles I had maintained for years atrophied faster than anticipated. This pattern affected others too. People who had walked in independently soon relied on wheelchairs. Previously, self-sufficient individuals suddenly needed help with formerly simple tasks. The more assistance provided, the more dependent we became. I remember Alice, my 81-year-old neighbor who arrived full of vitality. She maintained daily walks around the facility, declaring she wouldn't slow down merely because of age. However, after several months, I noticed her walking less frequently. Eventually, she began using a walker, then transitioned to a wheelchair. One day she confided, "I don't understand when it happened, but I feel like I've aged a decade in just months." That sentiment resonated perfectly. When you stop using your body, you begin losing functionality. In nursing homes, where environments are designed for convenience, it's easy to forget that movement isn't simply about ease. It's essential for survival. Had I known how rapidly my strength would diminish, I would have fought harder to remain active, to keep moving, to challenge myself even when unmotivated. Before choosing a nursing home, ask yourself, will you maintain the discipline to keep physically strong when everything encourages effortlessness? Because once you decelerate, regaining momentum isn't as simple as you might believe. If you're still watching and finding value in these insights, please comment number 4 below to indicate your presence. If you haven't subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating notifications to avoid missing future videos. Your support enables us to continue creating quality content that informs and inspires. My fifth regret was losing privacy and dignity. Before moving to the nursing home, I hadn't fully considered how much privacy I would surrender. At home, I enjoyed personal space. I could close my bedroom door, enjoy silence when desired, and live according to my preferences. In a nursing home, privacy becomes a rare privilege. From arrival, I felt constantly observed. staff entering and exiting, scheduled room inspections, and communal areas where solitude is scarce. Even fundamental activities like dressing or using the bathroom often required assistance. While staff were performing their duties, accepting help with lifelong independent activities isn't easy. During my first week, I struggled with needing permission for previously automatic activities. Wanting a shower might mean waiting for available assistance. Needing the restroom sometimes meant pressing the call button and enduring uncomfortable waits. Meal options were restricted. If you disliked the day's menu offerings, there were few alternatives. Then there's the roommate situation. Not everyone receives private accommodations, and sharing space with a stranger can create tension. Although I had a considerate roommate, others weren't as fortunate. Some endured roommates who were noisy, untidy, or suffered cognitive conditions that disrupted sleep. Despite efforts to personalize your space, it never truly becomes yours. Dignity is difficult to relinquish, and I hadn't realized how much I would surrender until already settled. When people knock but enter before receiving permission, when you're addressed as a patient rather than a person, when institutional schedules dictate your routines, it fundamentally changes you. You begin feeling less like an individual and more like another name on a roster. Before considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared to relinquish the privacy and autonomy you've enjoyed throughout your life? Because once surrendered, these are difficult to reclaim. My sixth regret was discovering that leaving is more difficult than anticipated. Upon entering the nursing home, I convinced myself it was temporary. I would try it, evaluate the experience, and leave if dissatisfied. What I failed to understand was how challenging departure would become once established. Initially, it seemed straightforward. If unhappy, I'd simply return home. However, home had changed during my absence. My house remained empty, and managing it remotely became challenging. My children had already begun making changes, selling possessions they deemed unnecessary, even considering renting the property. When I mentioned returning, they expressed reservations. Are you certain you can manage independently? Wouldn't remaining be safer? We only want what's best for you. Additionally, physical deterioration complicated matters. After months in an environment where cooking, cleaning, and even walking were minimized, my strength had diminished. My former independence gradually disappeared, making the prospect of returning home more daunting than anticipated. I lost confidence in my ability to live alone, and this fear kept me immobilized. I encountered others with similar experiences. They had intended brief nursing home stays, only to discover that leaving wasn't straightforward. The longer your residency, the more difficult readjusting to outside life becomes. Some completely lost the option when their homes were sold or savings depleted by care costs, eliminating the possibility of return. This crucial aspect remains untold. Entering seems like a reversible decision, but for most, it isn't. The nursing home gradually becomes your entire world, and your previous life slowly transforms into distant memory. Before considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that entering might create unexpected barriers to leaving, financial, physical, or emotional obstacles more formidable than anticipated? If you're still watching and finding value in these insights, please comment number 6 below to indicate your presence. If you haven't subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating notifications to avoid missing future videos. Your support enables us to continue creating quality content that informs and inspires. Surah Tuman. Final reflections. In retrospect, I don't regret aging, but I regret believing a nursing home was my only alternative. I entered expecting comfort, safety, and improved quality of life. Instead, I discovered an environment that progressively removed my independence, privacy, purpose, and identity. Does this indicate all nursing homes are inadequate? Not necessarily. Some individuals genuinely require their level of care. However, before making this decision, carefully consider what you're surrendering, because after moving in, life permanently changes. If given another opportunity, I would have fought harder to remain in my home, explored additional assistance options without sacrificing freedom, and verified I truly needed institutional care before making such a permanent transition. If you're confronting this decision, I hope you thoroughly ask yourself, is this genuinely what's best for me, or merely what seems easiest currently? Because your present life, your routines, independence, and choices deserves preservation for as long as possible. Thank you for joining us today. We welcome your feedback. Please comment below sharing something you learned and how you plan to apply it. Your thoughts matter greatly, so please share them. Reading your comments provides tremendous motivation and encouragement. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support enables us to continue creating quality content that informs and inspires. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.